Review copy of Armored Core 6 provided by Bandai Namco Entertainment America. Bless you guys. Hey everyone, it's Xant. It's been a long while since I did a video, for a handful of reasons, but I'm here now, and we're gonna talk mecha. Armored Core 6 comes fresh off the line after 10 years of a drought, riding the hype engine full throttle right up to its launch. Now, there was a lot of concern over the direction the game was going to take, ranging from concerns it would lose its Armored Core roots and be more Elden Ring Dark Souls than its predecessors, and there were also takes like it looks like it should have been released years ago with dated graphics, engine, and other things. Now, the first set of those concerns actually have some merit to them. The latter, it's just a hot take. Now, we're going to start from the top here, stay surface level for a bit, and then dive down into the nitty-gritty that makes Armored Core what it is. Now, you saw my overview scores earlier, if you were watching the opening bit. I'll keep this impression video spoiler-free as well, since I know there's people on the fence or waiting for the game to go on sale before actually playing it. And I should also be clear with you all, I very much dislike Souls games, and in general, the whole feeling of difficulty for the sake of difficulty that this genre touts. I'm not really into getting obliterated on a single enemy or boss for hours straight. I did enjoy this game though, and I think that should say a lot about it. First things first, let's talk about the general appearance of the game, maps, the world, etc. Armored Core 6 takes place in a variety of areas, all detailed and beautiful in their own way. Snowy mountains, cities, floating industrial superstructures, and a myriad of other maps make their appearance. Honestly, I could spend a lot of time just basking in the vistas that are presented. With high quality textures, tons of 3D modeling that avoids delegation to sky maps, and high poly models that make the set pieces really pop. Can we get a map walker mode so we can scour the maps and enjoy them without having lots of stuff going on, please? Come on. The maps are just great. The general appearance of the world fits with the setting as well. Plenty of ruins and wrecked industrial zones, smoldering craters, flooded residential zones. It really fills out that ambient storytelling, that it shows us, the players, more about the world without slapping us in the face with lore dumps and other stuff we learn as we play. Moving beyond the environment, the presented HUD, the GUI, the interface, it's lean and clean, showing us what we need to know without being overwhelming, and keeping it all tight where our eyes are going to be during the high-speed combat. Missiles? Inside the targeting reticle with the projectile count. Overheat? Left or right side of the reticle, depending on what arm or shoulder the weapon is on, so you can quickly reference it. A stagger bar, so you know when you're about to enter kind of a high-risk state, directly below the reticle in a very bright color so it stands out in your peripheral vision. Ammo count? That's a bit out of the way, in the corner of your screen. However, there's an onboard AI voice that starts vocally informing you of your ammo count after you dip below 50%, so 50% ammo in left weapon, and so on. It's an in-lore friendly way to kind of keep you in the loop when your eyes would normally have to really dip out of where the action is. The same goes for your general health, repair kits, and you'll get constant updates as the numbers go down, like I said. I think that's just really cool overall. It keeps the UI centered without, kind of breaking immersion. Honestly, I only have good things to say about the UI and the interface and the environment and all that. The world, while drab in palette, is full of life and character, and the wide variety of maps keeps the gameplay fresh. You don't find yourself in Snowfield B for the third time in a row. The UI is convenient in all of the right ways, whether you're in battle, whether you're on the main menu. It's setting friendly, it's great, and it keeps the UI from feeling clunky. Now I'm going to be brief on the story, obviously spoiler free, as I feel like it's probably the weakest part of the game. Does that matter though? Not really. There is a story in Armored Core 6, but it's not, in my opinion, immersive or riveting. You're a mercenary on the planet Rubicon, and the tutorial mission finds you scouring a battlefield for ruined machines, and you're there to lift their identification data to use for yourself. Afterwards, you begin your mercenary work under Handler Walter and make a reputation for yourself, completing missions for anyone and everyone willing to put money into your pockets. Enemies one stage will be your friend the next, and it's very superficial as far as the story goes. I was told that there is more to it after you're in like New Game Plus, all that stuff. If you've ever played Earth Defense Force, I would liken the story here to there. I think that's kind of the best way for me to relay it. There is a story, but it's not super duper important to follow along, and you can kind of understand what's going on with minimal cues. It's very straightforward most of the time. If you've come into this game expecting like Persona, Red Dead Redemption 2, maybe even Halo in terms of story, I'm just gonna burst your bubble right now. It's not that in depth. It very much focuses more on the giant robots fighting giant robots, and I'm totally here for that. So with 3 of the 5 things I wanted to talk about down for the count, let's get into the real meat and potatoes of a FromSoft game. The combat and the mechanics. I'm going to be blunt right off the rip. I'm not waxing poetic for 10 minutes here. Much like the UI, I just want to get down to business. The combat is crisp. It is snappy. Absolutely adrenaline pumping when you're fighting a boss. And also completely your fault when you eat dirt and explode. The game's tutorial is an excellent opener in my opinion, as the boss forces you, at literal gunpoint, to get good or be locked in the tutorial forever. There's no world to explore and come back later, no bypasses, you must win with the default loadout. If you read the Steam forums, Reddit discussions, other social media sites at launch, there's in general a lot of salt about how hard that tutorial boss, the attack chopper, was. Some people were able to do it on their first try. Some took several tries. Some took hours. Personally, I had to go at it 3 times. But every death, I knew it was my fault. I didn't dodge well enough. I wasn't aware of specific mechanics the tutorial taught me that I ignored because I thought I knew better. All these other reasons. There's no iframes, and you either perfectly time your dashes to completely avoid incoming fire, or use a shield part, which you get access to later, to mitigate damage. That was something that my Souls friends were saying they had issues getting used to. They were expecting iframes, and they ate a few deaths while kind of trying to get used to things. Mechanically, there's a lot to focus on. You have the ACS for stagger, you have weapon overheat, weapon ammo count, because yes, once you run out of ammo, you do purge the weapons. Direct or vertical missiles, and that actually matters. Are you someone that's going to fire them straight at the enemy? Are you going for missiles that kind of, go up and do kind of a cruise missile thing that come down later, that can be harder to directly see and dodge? Are you going for like Sidewinder style missiles that are going to take that big arc around the edge and then, go after them? There's so many little things with just the missiles. You have plasma, kinetic, beam weapons. Do you decide, am I going to dodge all the incoming damage, or am I just going to bring a shield unit to mitigate? And more. Honest, there's a lot. It sounds complicated, and it can be. But if you take the time in the build screen to learn what your parts do, what your stats mean, and what kind of playstyle suits you, the road becomes much more straightforward. And with that, I want to go into the customization, because that is kind of the lifeblood. It's Armored Core. For those of you who know what that entails, you can tune this part out. If not, let's just take a look at the few options that are available. We have the burst linear rifle, assault rifle, burst assault machine rifle, gun, burst machine gun, shotgun, handgun, burst handgun, bazooka, detonating grenade bazooka, napalm bomb, laser rifle, laser shot, plasma rifle, missile launcher. And that's just what you can get after clearing about 60% of the first run-through of the game, for one hand. Of course, ignoring hidden chests and maps, unlocks from story progression, arena progression, and more. Each brings its own playstyle to the table, with upsides and drawbacks. And some of these drawbacks can even be negated depending on other parts you choose, like tank treads. They don't have to stop to fire certain weapons that other legs do. However, tank treads come with their own benefits and demerits. You have an immense amount of control over how you want your machine to play. Do you want fast and airborne with range? For sure. Slow, defensive, practically mobile artillery? Yep. Practically trading paint 24/7 with melee? That pile bunker in the trailer wasn't just for show, There's a lot to keep track of while building your machine, with important stats like weight and energy being the main blockers that prevent players from making imbalanced machines that will barely operate. However, you can still partially ignore this through OS upgrades, which you unlock pretty early on, that allow you to tweak certain specs of your machine, such as damage mitigation, boosting certain damage types, and even ignoring overload. Don't get me started on paints or emblems. Seriously, there's just so much to do in the garage. You're probably going to end up spending more time there than actually playing, I swear. All in all, this is an amazing game, if you can handle the burden of losing constantly on bosses. Pretty much the same as Dark Souls and Elden Ring in that sense. If you're on the fence whether or not you will enjoy the difficulty, I completely understand, and I would actually be one of the people agreeing with you, had I not given the game a good old college try. Regardless, that sums up my impressions on Armored Core 6. Totally worth it, if you can handle the difficulty. Peace out, guys. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in my next one.